Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do my 2021 bullet journal intro video. If you're new here, I primarily blog on starringpamela.com, but I do put up a video on this YouTube channel about once a month. I shared my 2020 bullet journal quarterly last year, and I wanted to do the same for this year. For 2021, I also wanted to do a separate intro video. The reason for this is that I normally share my bullet journal when my months are completed, but last year I was always running into the problem that there were certain things that I just didn't want to show. I figured that this 2021 intro video would cover not only the pages that I set up at the beginning of my bullet journal that will be useful throughout the year, but also show off some of the pages that I create and the layouts that I use throughout the month that I tend to skip once they are completed. I did a really simple title page. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look terrible either, I think. Now, something that this bullet journal came with was lined pages at the beginning of the journal for a sort of index. I didn't intend to do an index at all, so I repurposed these for lists that I was going to create anyway in my bullet journal. The first one I put in was my 2021 goals for the year, and by now I have filled it out, but just to show the setup of it, I left it blank. The next spread I saved for the books that I will read in 2021. At the end of 2020, I read 65 books, mostly due to the lockdown. In my area, the lockdown is continuing for some time, so I think my goal for 2021 will probably be around 50 books. I think that once lockdown does lift, I'll be reading less, so hopefully I'll be able to at least make it to 50 and not lose all the momentum from 2020 that I gained reading so many. For the next spread, I left the last of the lined pages to be a continuation of the books that I will hopefully read, and the other page I wanted to leave for any musicals or events that I might watch, mostly virtual, since that is how 2020 went. The next page I did a grid. That is pretty common throughout bullet journals that I see on YouTube, so I don't think I have to explain it too much. I counted out all the rows and the columns and then split it up between halves, thirds, and quarters. I also included a page for my stats. Last year I had a separate page for my blog and for my YouTube channel. This year I just put them together. For the next spread, I want to do something over the course of the months, so I have my themes of 2021. I have started to fill that one out, and the next page is blank. I think I might do something similar to what I did last year, where I pick a word for every month. But this year, instead of picking a word at the beginning of the month, I think I'll do it at the end, so it's more reflective of how that month went for me. I didn't do a future log for this year, but I did want to put the calendar in here. I do find it useful when I'm creating a calendar for each month, so I thought it would be perfect to put it at the beginning so I can always reference back to it. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to put on the next page, but I have left a few blank ones just because I know things will come up throughout the year that I'll want to add into the beginning of the bullet journal, or I'll just have a different idea for what I want to do with it. And moving straight into my January setup. So I know this would typically be in the part 1 for the first quarterly installment of this, but I thought I would just show the layouts really quickly, and it's not anywhere near complete, so it'll still look different once I share the completed version later on. So I'm doing it a little bit differently this year than what I did last year for the cover page. Of course, I still have the name of the month and putting the theme, I guess, around it. But on the next page, I'm putting down the calendar right away. I also thought it would be a good place to put the quote of the month, but instead of doing quotes this year, I think I'm going to do more along the lines of poems. On the following page, I am doing goals, to-dos, and reminders. I think it makes sense to put it here because it'll be right on the next page from the calendar. And on the next page is my life log. I believe I called it my activities log last year, but that didn't really fit after a while. I thought about calling it a daily log, but I didn't really like that name, so I put life log. And basically throughout the month I just fill out a little snippet of what I did that day. The next spread is similar to what I did last year as well. I have an entertainment page that I split into different categories, and that has, again, space for movies, TV shows, the books I read, video games, and stuff that is just entertainment. On the next page I have a space for creations, so things that will come from me. And this is where I plan to put the baking that I'll do, if I write anything, if I do any DIYs. And I actually also have a space for the classes that I plan to take here, just because it's useful to have the meeting IDs readily available as well. The next 2 pages will also look familiar if you watched my updates from last year. I have the blog planner chart where I track where I am in the process of writing each blog post. I typically do 2 a week, so that's where I leave that, and I have a note section for any future ideas or something that I might want to remember to put into a post. And the following page is my Animal Crossing New Horizons island updates. I am obsessed with that video game, and my island is called Aquila, so I do Aquila updates. And I just track some stats or projects I want to do. After my set pages for the month is what I refer to fun pages, and this is the first of them so far. I just did a Happy New Year kind of thing. My resolution, I guess, is to be positive, but I also have a few other things to just keep in mind throughout the year. I think I might continue on with something like this for the next page, or just leave it for whatever else I get up to in January. I skipped the next couple pages because they were blank and ready for any fun ideas that might come up, but I stopped at this one because I did at least start it. I want my bullet journal this year to include a spread dedicated solely to writing. For me, writing is a hobby that I tend to put off, even though I'm constantly told that I am very creative and very good at it, and it's something that I want to have at the forefront of my mind for 2021 and not push it to the side and not ignore it. My thinking for this spread is that it's going to be more along the lines of a brain dump, so I want to include any new ideas that come to mind, any breakthroughs I have for plot points for different stories I have in my head, or even tracking the edits for the book that I finished in 2020. I'm not completely sure yet, but this is a spread I intend to continue every month throughout the year. And this is the final spread for the month, and this is also going to be each month, but I wanted to include it here because I don't intend to show it. At the end of the month, I want to do a sort of reflection on how I feel that the month went. I sort of did this in my last bullet journal. I didn't show it in my quarterly videos, but I would do a letter to myself on how I hoped the month would go, and due to everything that went down, I didn't find it super helpful. I found myself wanting to reflect on the month instead. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing for 2021, and something that I started doing at the end of every month towards the end of 2020 was doing a budget page. I mostly use it to track my income and expenses, but I do intend to kind of flesh it out a little bit more. As you can see, my bullet journal is pretty minimalistic. Last year I think I got a little overexcited because it was the first year doing it, so I used everything from markers to pens to colored pencils to crayons, literally anything I could get my hands on, even watercolor paint made it on here. But to be honest, I'm not super artistic. I mean, you can kind of tell from the funky looking snowflakes on there. And so this year I didn't want to stress about making it look pretty or anything like that. I just wanted it to be useful. Another thing is that when I created my 2020 bullet journal and planned it out, I had intended on using it more along the lines of a planner than an actual journal. But due to everything that happened, it didn't end up being super useful as a planner and became more of a journal anyway. That's how pages like the life vlog got started, and I wanted to bring a little bit more of that in there. So there might even be more parts or pages that I will create that I don't end up showing in my videos. As always, bullet journals change like crazy, so I think that anyone who does bullet journal will strongly resonate with the fact that you will plan something out for your pages, then it just doesn't work how you intended it, or you end up having to make a change somewhere along the line anyway. For now, this is kind of what I'm setting up every month, but I'm sure something will change and I'll be sure to keep you updated. For example, I didn't do a travel page this year. I created one for 2020, fully intending to use it a few times, and that's just not what happened. So I might go back and add a travel page if that's something that becomes a possibility for me for 2021. For now, I don't have anything planned, so I didn't create it. And that's pretty much it for my 2021 bullet journal. Thank you so much for joining me for this intro. Once again, I'll be doing these quarterly, so part 1 will have January, February, and March all in one video. and will be posted in April once those pages are complete. If you're interested in bullet journaling, there are a ton of amazing resources here on YouTube for starting a bullet journal. My tips are always just start doing it. You don't need a special notebook with dotted pages. You don't need any specific special pens or anything like that. You literally just need paper and a writing utensil, and that's all you really need to get started. Like I said earlier, feel free to check out my blog or subscribe to this channel. I'll have my blog linked in the description. If you are here for my blog, thank you so much for supporting me over on my videos. And I'm not quite sure what video I'm going to create for February, but hopefully it'll be something fun. So see you guys next month. Bye.